Off by thanking the chair, committee staff, and our sponsor for bringing forward this very important issue. SB 515 addresses a critical gap by improving how local governments in California collect and report demographic data. This bill recognizes that without accurate, consistent, and complete information, the unique needs of historically marginalized communities, particularly those most impacted by generations of injustice, remain invisible in our decision-making process. As we continue working towards equity in public policy, it is essential that our data reflects the full diversity of our communities. Let me give you an example of what I mean. On one form, we have the different data reflecting for those in Asian community, Cambodian, Chinese, Filipino, Indian, Japanese, Korean, Laotian, Vietnamese, and other. Pacific Islander, you have Guatemalan, Native Hawaiian, Samoan, and other Pacific Islander. However, on most documents, it only typically will reflect Black African American. Without specific data, challenges and contributions of our communities remain overlooked. SB 515 ensures that their experiences are recognized and considered in policy decisions. Similarly, the State Controller's Office and the Department of Human Resources provides more accurate data for ethnic groups, which I just described for you. And this bill is simply asking for the other counties and cities and state entities to do the same. By allowing SB 515 to analyze this refined data, government agencies can make sure that the unique challenges of different communities are understood and, more importantly, addressed.
But when I read the SB 515, they calling us African Americans and everybody else Black. No, we are Black Americans. Our ethnic identifier is Black American. We are the people that have been reclassified as Black and made it our culture, history, and legacy and heritage. So this needs to be corrected. The Caribbeans can be Caribbeans. The Africans can be the Africans. But the Black Americans, we are Black Americans.
What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So what you guys just watched right there was a part of a California State Assembly, which is very close to where I'm at. This is actually the representative. Her name is Miss Laura Richardson. She is part of the San Pedro district, which I'm very close to here in Long Beach, and she's also a Long Beach local. So salute to Sister Laura Richardson. She is currently bringing to the table a bill by the name of SB 515. And the video you just watched was by a brother by the name of Secure the Tribe on YouTube. So salute to him and make sure he gets his credit for the video. But what they basically have presented is California State Bill SB 515, which requires cities, counties, and other local governments to collect more details and demographic data on Black or African American employees, including new categories for specific subgroups starting January 1st, 2027. So from my perspective, kind of seeing this bill come across is something that I think a lot of us notice. And as you could see, that Secure the Tribe made it clear that some of the verbiage wasn't correct. And I definitely agree on that. I think once we start to really deep dive into what this is supposed to be and what this is supposed to represent, which is Black Americans or Black freedmen, then we have to consider a distinction for foundational Black Americans, right? And so this was something that I felt like was a really, really great story and a great win for Black Americans and also the foundational Black American movement right now, which we are taking full control of. And it's great to see that we're starting to see people in Congress who are looking to represent us as foundational Black Americans. But the goal now has to be making sure that we have a specific way about how we're going about this, the specific verbiage for foundational Black Americans, and then as well having that specific distinction from us and everyone else in the Black diaspora. But first, I think it's important that we understand what a bill is entirely. So let's get into that.
You sure gotta climb a lot of steps to get to this Capitol building here in Washington. Well, I wonder who that sad little scrap of paper is.
I'm just a bill, yes, I'm only a bill, and I'm sitting here on Capitol Hill. Well, it's a long, long journey to the capital city. It's a long, long wait while I'm sitting in committee, but I know I'll be a law someday. At least I hope and pray that I will, but today I am still just a bill.
Gee, Bill, you certainly have a lot of patience and courage.
Well, I got this far. When I started, I wasn't even a bill. I was just an idea. Some folks back home decided they wanted a law passed, so they called their local congressman, and he said, "You're right, there ought to be a law." Then he sat down and wrote me out and introduced me to Congress, and I became a bill. And I'll remain a bill until they decide to make me a law.
So I might have aged myself by the Schoolhouse Rocks clip, but it's a really good clip to help everyone who's watching this video understand exactly what a bill is, right? So like he said and mentioned in the song, it starts off as an idea. Someone presents it to Congress. Congress writes it up. You feel me? Your local congressman, this case of being Laura. She wrote this up. She brings it. And then hopefully it can become a law, right? But let's get into exactly what the overall verbiage is, right? So let's go. The legislator finds and declares that both of the following: the purpose of this section is to enhance the accuracy, comprehensiveness, and consistency of demographic data concerning residents who are descendants of persons enslaved and emancipated in the United States, also known as American freedmen, enabling more effective policy planning and resource allocation at and between local and state levels. Now, is this alluding to reparations? Is this alluding to how funds will be deviated across? Is this just for the census? We don't know. But at the end of the day, this is actual legislation that is being passed on the behalf of Black Americans, and as you saw right there, American freedmen, those who are descendants of enslaved people who are here in the United States. Okay, guys? So regardless of what anyone says, the verbiage, when you dig deep, is there. Okay? Right there in section 1, it speaks to the descendants of slaves and the American freedmen. Right? This section, section 2, emphasizes the importance of safeguarding individual privacy and ensuring the secure handling of collected data in accordance with relevant privacy laws and regulations. 3. The term American freedman represents the legal and political status inherited by the posterity of the 4 million freedmen and women who were emancipated nationally in 1865 by the 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution. It also includes the progeny of the historically identified as blacks, African Americans, or other African descent who gained freedom from slavery prior to 1865 by either the Emancipation Proclamation, being contraband under the Confiscation Acts, freedmen's suits, gradual abolition, or emancipation in the northern states, purchasing their own freedom, manumission by owners, or enlisting and fighting for the Patriots during the American Revolution. Okay, guys? So this specifically notes only to those who have descendants of slaves or those who were native to these lands before 1865. Okay? So that speaks as well to Native Americans, right? Who a lot of us have direct lineage towards. Some of our tribes being Muskogee, some of our tribes being as well Cherokee, right? A lot of those tribes, okay, who were taken and also put into chattel slavery during this time, all right? Also, those who fought in the revolution for their freedom, okay? A lot of people do not understand that during the American Revolution, Black American slaves were the equalizer. And not only that, they were the ones who helped win the war. Okay? We were the ones who helped the North go ahead and take out the South. Okay? It was us, Black American bodies, men who fought on those fields and died for this country. Okay? So this bill is representative towards them. All right? So look, in the section B of the section 1, on or after January 1st, 2027, a city, county, when collecting demographic data as to the ancestry or ethnic origins of persons, shall include additional collection categories and tabulations for Black or African American groups as described in section 8301.6.0. Okay? So, as you can see within the legislation, we're already halfway there, guys. Like, that's the point of this, is making sure that you guys can understand that when it comes to, the details and the minute overall, I can understand exactly what Secure the Tribe is speaking on, is the fact that there definitely has to be a specific verbiage, right? And listen, I don't know when this was updated, okay? This is as of 10/13/2025 when it was passed. But I know that certain statutes over time can be edited and redone. So this is as of today, November 16th, right? That we are looking directly and deep diving into the bill directly here on legislationscan.com. All right. So let's get into section 2. All right, so in section 2, it says the legislature finds and declares that section 1 of this act, adding section 53060-8 to the government code, addresses a matter of statewide concern rather than a municipal affair. That term is section 5 of article 11 of the California Constitution. Therefore, section 1 of this act applies to all cities, including charter cities. So specifically, everyone knows that this is only to California, right? But this is a step in the right direction for all Black Americans, in my opinion. I think it's important for a lot of us to be able to take a deep look, right? And I've been seeing a lot of, comments, even on videos that I've posted, where a lot of people will come and they'll say, hey, all right, so you guys are delineating. All right, so what now? What happens next? Well, this is what happens next. And this is stuff that I've mentioned. We start to push legislation within our government to make sure that we have a distinction between us and everyone else. Foundational Black Americans have to have our own distinction so that we can reference our lineage when we are going into the census, when we are filing our taxes, when we are looking for programs that specifically focus on that group, okay? And our group being foundational Black Americans, American freedmen, Native American Black people, okay? That's who we are, all right? And now that we have started to not only dig deep into our genealogy and dig deep into who we are and the history of our families and where we've come from and the history that we've all, kind of deep dived into, it's very, very important that these type of bills and legislation we get behind fully, and we start to, as well, like Secure the Tribe said, make sure that we are editing and we are constantly speaking to our congressmen and women to make sure that the verbiage is correct, that the wording is correct, that we are represented Black Americans, maybe a foundational Black Americans, ADOS, right? We also have, our soulaan brothers, you know what I'm saying? Native American Black folks, okay? We need to make sure that all these subgroups within our foundational Black American lineage is represented and spoken for. And so that part, I 100% understand where Secure the Tribe is, and I'm 100% behind him on that, because that part matters the most, right? So let's get into section 3. If the Commission on State Mandates determines that this act contains costs mandated by the state, reimbursement to the local agencies and school districts for those costing shall be made to pursue and part 7. Okay, so that talks about basically just the resources that will go into this, and understanding as well that there are programs, right, based on genealogy that are being passed and that, are going to be coming through the California state college systems. So let's talk about that real quick. I got a quick video for you guys to watch. So check this out.
I'm happy to tell you a little something real quick. Okay. So SB 437 was actually authored by Governor Newsom's office in last legislative session. Senator Keelan Weber has picked that up this legislative session under SB 437, and what that bill will do is allocate $6 million from the state budget to the California State University system to do a study on genealogy for 3 to 5 years. So delaying any reparations or repair and justice measures until this study is completed in the next 3 to 5 years. She says it was a recommendation of the task force. It was not. The task force did not recommend more study. The task force recommended was to stand up an agency to start doing genealogy. Okay, so that's SB 437, which we oppose. Then she has SB 518, which would establish the Bureau of Descendants of American Slavery in the Department of Justice. So putting our reparations bureau under police control. We also have a problem with that. We don't think that's a good idea. But besides just that point, SB 518 again delays reparations in the state because we already heard from the Department of Justice, and they say that they're going to need 5 years to implement this bureau.
All right, so there you just had a brother who was speaking on the California bill SB 437, which passed in 2025, which directs the California State Universities to use up to $6 million to research and develop methodology for verifying lineage to enslaved ancestors. The research will help determine eligibility for potential reparative claims and is intended to be completed in a way that complements the work of the state's reparations task force. And the bill, which is now a chaptered law, requires CSU to submit progress reports and final reports with recommendations of legislation. So obviously that was a big one, which we want to have for the research and also the understanding of our genealogy and where we'd be going as a foundational Black Americans. So you gotta love that with the 437. But he also mentions about the Bill 518, which did not pass, which was signed into law in October 2025 as well by Gavin Newsom and the Bureau of Descendants of American Slavery to create and implement reparations for Black Californians. Now, clearly, like I mentioned, I'm in California right now. This is where my family has been for generations. My great-great-grandfather came here from Clarksville, Texas to Long Beach, California, and we have been here ever since. So for us as Black Americans who migrated here from the South to California, there is definitely some debt that should be paid to my ancestors, and not only that, all Black Americans at large. And so I think sometimes when we look at this conversation about delineation and Black Americans going our own way and figuring out things on our own, it's because the history and the genealogy that has been stripped from us. And as well, we've seen people co-opting our movements, coming in, cosplaying as Black Americans, and then as well looking down on us and as well trying to erase our history, the ancestors that came before us, who fought for this country, who built this country, who made this country everything that it was. My family has been here for generations. Since the beginning, we've always had a very, very direct connection with our history. Family reunions and the elders constantly telling us stories about where we came from, what we did, and who we were. Those type of stories, especially for me as a child growing up, I was very, very enamored with it. I couldn't really equate how much it made me feel pride in being who I was, listening to my great-grandmother tell me about how she grew up, and listening to my grandfather tell me how he grew up, and my grandma, my aunts and uncles, the things that they expressed about growing up around, horses and being on a farm and having that very, very simple life. But then at the same time, having to have fought teeth and nail to make sure that they kept that is something that I can never really repay them for, because I do understand how real and how much they sacrifice for us and our families. And so a lot of times I think, in this delineation conversation that we've been having for, maybe, since 2025, since this election, and since things have really shifted just in our entire world, I think it's important to understand that for Black Americans, this isn't just about delineation. This is about pride of our history, and also making sure that we are paying respects to our ancestors by finishing the job that they started. If it wasn't for them, we would not be here, okay? If it wasn't for their fights, if it wasn't for their hard work, the things that they did, we would not be here. And so I think it's important, as Black Americans, we are keeping that fight going. We have found ourselves, all right? I've seen so many Black Americans speak on that knowledge of self journey that they've all gone over, and we all have experienced it. I was lucky enough to grow up in a family that understood our lineage, that understood our history, and so many generations back can tell you every single stem of that family tree. A lot of people did not grow up like that. So it's a beautiful thing to see more Black Americans leaning into who they are, making sure that they're leaning on their elders, doing their own genealogy, building their own family trees. I love to see this stuff because all it does is inspire and help our overall cause, which is reparations in cash payment, reparations in land grants, okay? That is what we are owed as Black American freedmen, Native American Blacks, okay? That is who we are, all right? Black Americans have been here since the beginning of this country. We helped build this country. We were the ones who went out of our way to make sure that everyone else can benefit from these things that we have built here. So from us, it's very important that we continue that legacy and we do not let down our ancestors, because it isn't just about us. It's also about those who are coming behind us. And let me tell you, this young Black American community, they are putting their foot on the gas. They are not stopping. They are making sure that their voice is heard, and as well, they are packing it up by making sure that legislation like these right here is getting passed, okay? This is going to help and shift the seriousness that a lot of people have played about this Black American movement. A lot of people have thought it was a game. A lot of people thought that this was just, oh, okay, they're just talking on the internet. Well, guess what? There's been more than one bill that has been passed for Black Americans here in California. And I hope that other states pick up steam and start passing these bills and start getting the work done so that we can start pressing forward on all of these movements, all of these plans, all of this stuff that is owed to us. We are tired of the way that Black Americans have been treated, and delineation is nothing but a byproduct of that. We have found out who we are, and we are going to make sure that we keep our foots on America's neck to make sure that they recognize that. So salute to everyone out there. All my Black American brothers, let's keep fighting the good fight. Thank you all for watching. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. My name's Brandon B. And this is Elite Media, and I'm out. Peace.